Hi everyone, welcome to the Numerology and the Astrology for April 27th, 2020. If you add all those numbers up, you get the number 17, and if you add the 1 and the 7 together, you get the number 8. Now, the number 8 is a number of grief and loss and sadness in the yogic tradition. Now, I know that there are 5 different numerological systems in the world, and in the American system, it says the number 8 is about wealth and success and abundance. But in the yogic system, over and over again, I have found that it ends up being more right than the American system with this, that it ends up being a day or an energy of grief and loss and sadness. Now, it's about connecting the higher and the lower. It's about connecting the ideas and the dreams and the infinite and the spiritual consciousness to the physical world, and us becoming the bridge between those two and aligning them. And you can imagine that if you have an idea and you can ground that idea, you can make wealth and money. But most of the time what happens is you have this idea and then you start to try to do it, and then your own issues come up, your own fears come up, your own self-doubt comes up, your insecurities come up, your lack of drive, the fact that you might have to learn some new skills. And then what happens is we kind of collapse into our despair and our hopelessness and the sadness and the grief that we are working through in this lifetime, because everyone's working through this one way or the other. So today, with all the news on the world front related to coronavirus, it to me clearly is a day of sadness and grief. And it's happening to so many, it might feel overwhelming. I mean, there are people that are in lines to get food at the food banks, and the farmers don't have any place to sell their crops, and so they're like literally letting things spoil in the fields, and they're sad. And so, if you really feel into the global situation, you're going to feel that it is a sad day. And so I want you to remember to breathe, because the 8 in yogic numerology is about prana, and it's about breath, and to take that breath and to increase your breath and to step up and transform death energy into breathing in and taking in life. I find that each breath is a choice for life over death, and each breath is a reminder and a commitment to be here now and to keep going. And each breath is important right now, because this virus wants to take your breath. It wants to take your hope, your life, your money, your security, your stability. And for so many, there are many other things that they seem to be losing. And so have compassion for those that are in such fear right now. And this is very real to them, and do not tell anyone that what they are feeling or experiencing, or that what they're feeling or experiencing is fake. I mean, do not dishonor yourself by saying something so stupid as that. I mean, so if you dishonor yourself in that way by telling somebody what they're feeling and telling them what they're feeling is fake, you are showing disrespect for those attempting to tell the truth of what they are personally living through. Now, just because you're not personally living through it doesn't mean that they're not personally living through it. So don't tell another person at this point in time what they feel. Listen, shut up, be quiet, receive them, and that is how we are all going to heal and transform, one way or the other. Now, everything that everyone is feeling is deeply personal, and that's why right now respecting another's boundaries and respecting another's feelings and respecting another's sharing, especially if it's coming from the first person, is really important. And opinions seem less and less important, and repeating the words of crazy people just make you sound like a crazy person and make you lose respect in the eyes of others. So feel past your own attachments and feel into what others are experiencing for just a moment. And a moment of true compassion for this world could be the moment that something powerful and profound could actually shift. Okay. Astrology for today is fairly simple, which is good, and the moon is going into caring and homey and restful Cancer, thank goodness, and it's helping us to seek the safer side of life. You want to take a break from the craziness and give your soul a chance to relax and develop a new energy for the future. Mercury moves into Taurus on Monday afternoon and it helps you bring ideas down to earth, and they will help you produce a more grounded, practical, and tangible result. All week, Mercury, the mental planet, is activated, so expect many to talk a lot, but don't believe everything you hear. Use your mental focus constructively and do the most practical things to stay grounded and in the real world. If you feel that there are those taking advantage, you may feel as if there are those that are taking advantage of the people, and you are not wrong, but withhold your judgment, because right now you do not really have enough information to be able to be clear, and many things are trying to come down to earth, and there are so many convoluted realities out there that are happening. I mean, just keep your own counsel and stay really grounded and look at what's really practical, because common sense seems to be the only way through, but so many are willing to have highly questionable thoughts that support illusions and idealistic behavior. New things are not as interesting as you thought. Stability and practicality is winning over fanciful ideas, and that is a really good thing. Now, my quote for today: mirrors are wasted on the blind, books are wasted on the uneducated, truth is wasted on the delusional, and honesty is wasted on the liars. But compassion is never wasted. You cannot waste the energy of love. Compassion and love will grow no matter what soil or environment they are placed in. While all things take time and most things change, love and compassion are the foundation upon which this world is built. All right, and then my blog for today. It is hard to see the world that we have known and loved fall apart so quickly. It is terribly painful to watch progress slip backwards so rapidly. It is a human tragedy of unconscionable proportions that reminds us that we have not evolved as a unified whole. There have always been those that have more and can pay to get whatever they want. They have previously been held up as a beacon of human evolution, an example that we wanted to attain. But they attained that power and prestige on the backs of the poor. They attained it on the blood and suffering of those with less. The poor have always died because of the selfish neglect of the powerful. The poor have for thousands of years built the great treasures of the world. But do you know their names? You do not. Nor do many of you even consider that for a moment of your precious thought and energy. In this moment, you can expand your awareness into another higher dimension, one that recognizes that everyone is needed and to be shown value. We are at a critical turning point where humanity recognizes that there should be a standard that allows all humans to maintain a sense of dignity without desperate suffering. Are we at a point where we can recognize that all effort should be paid for and valued? Clearly, we are not there yet, but there is a new conversation happening that has never had this much focus or intention. I believe that something in the core of humanity is changing. Something is different. A recognition that effort should be rewarded and a fair distribution of that financial compensation needs to be shared with the workers and not just the CEOs. Now, many years ago, many of you that follow me know that, I worked in Beverly Hills for a very long time, and I worked with the super wealthy and the super famous and the super powerful and all this kind of stuff, and it was a wild, wild ride. And I'll never forget what a CEO told me at one point. He said, "Oh, Suzanne, how you make money?" And I said, "How?" And he said, "You basically get the most talented, young, energetic person with all this get up and go, and you put them in a position that is slightly above their level. And they strive and strive and strive and strive and struggle and struggle and struggle and want to do a good job and want to attain something, and you just use them up. You just wear them out and you just use them up. And then when they're exhausted, you fire them, or they leave, usually on their own, because then you don't have to pay them unemployment. And then you just hire another one, because there's just thousands of them out there, all these people that want to prove themselves and want to try to do a good job. And that's how you become wealthy. You just have a whole company full of these types of people. And I remember sitting there in shock from the realization that what he said was completely true. And my father used to have a phrase that he would say, the corporations cannot actually pay you what you are worth. And, they will pay you what you will take. And that's also a really true statement. Most people don't, know, but as a ballet dancer, as a professional ballet dancer, when I very first got paid in Europe, I was paid $60,000 a year, which was good money, and it's because the German government subsidizes all the arts, because they recognize in Europe how critically powerful the arts are for a quality of life, a standard of living, an expression of consciousness, that they actually recognize that that's really important. And when I left Berlin, I did not know when I left Berlin that I was going to go from making $60,000 a year to making $17,000 a year. It was a shock. Because the arts are not subsidized by the government, and under this government, they definitely don't subsidize the arts. And so all of the arts and all the artists and all of the people, the healers and the people who have small businesses are really suffering right now. And to me, it's again about what you can take, what you're willing to take. And as a dancer, you have to dance. I mean, there's this thing about dancing, like it's compelling. You have to dance. And, companies know that, and they take advantage of that. Now, fortunately, most of the ballet companies have gone AGMA. And so the unions, once again, thank God for the unions have stabilized some of the compensation so that it's more balanced. And so dancers are getting paid more what they are worth. But just kind of notice that corporations will do this as much as they can get away with it, right? And so, it's really about everyone saying, this is not okay. So literally the ballet company saying, all the companies have to go AGMA. This is ridiculous. I remember, literally not having money as a ballet dancer to have dinner. And so I would eat crackers and cheese because I literally didn't have enough money to do anything other than crackers and cheese. And, again, for the level of commitment that dancers have and the level of drive and determination and the gift that they are trying to offer, which is a full body gift, it's just sort of shocking that, that a person working at a store could make more money than a principal ballet dancer. I mean, that's just sort of astounding to me. So we've come to this point in life where everything has gotten way out of balance. And so the top 1% have, just taken the whole pie. I mean, they basically have taken the whole pie and left the crust for you. And we have to say no. I mean, we have to stand up and we have to say no. And I know that there are people, I have them as clients, that are CEOs that are really compensating people correctly. But I've also seen CEOs promise the moon and, we're going to give you these golden handcuffs and it's called stock. And, but the stock is restricted. And so you won't be able to sell it. We're going to make sure that you won't be able to sell it at the high. So you're going to end up when the stock has devalued we're going to sell the company out from underneath you and we're going to take all the money and we're not going to give you any of the money that we make from selling the company. And, my ex-husband went through 2 rounds of that with 2 different companies, and at one point the stock was worth millions of dollars. And by the time he was able to sell it, it wasn't. And so kind of know that there's a game that corporations can play with people, and they do promise the moon, and watch out for the golden handcuffs of stock and things like this. I mean, really watch out for that because they're smarter than you. I mean, they know what's going on. And it can get demoralizing. I mean, I've seen people, literally put 10, 20 years into a company and literally end up with nothing. I mean, my father, designed the smart weapon systems and, was a very important person and, left the company with, just barely what he had managed to invest. And his patents were sold to Raytheon for $5 billion. Yes, billion with a B. And, but he was an engineer, and all of the patents of anything he created were owned by the company, not him personally, and there was no compensation. And this stuff has been going on forever. So it's not been going on just recently. This has been going on forever. And this is what needs to change. And there needs to be a fairer distribution, and there needs to be rules and laws in place that don't allow corporations to manipulate workers in such a way. Okay, I'm done with my rant. I'm done with my rant. I'm going to go out to my garden, and I am going to keep working on my garden. So, take care. Thank you all for listening. Thank you all for showing up. I appreciate all the people that are taking advantage of my little special, my COVID special that is happening. That is $100 for a reading, plus I'll give you a paper layout of your natal chart and also some of the things that will be happening further on in the astrology, as well as a PDF copy of my book and a PDF copy of my workbook. And then you can go online and do my online YouTube numerology class for free. And it's a great deal, and it's $100, and that's a great deal because it takes an extra hour of my time just to put all of that stuff together for each person. So know that you need to give me that information in advance, because I will be working on that, in the evenings sometimes. And this is a great deal, and I'm trying to help people, and I'm trying to give people as much information as they possibly can so that they can make intelligent choices, not decisions based on opinions, but based on their personal chart, their personal experience, and what they're doing and what they're going for. So thanks, everybody. Take care.